What's up, people, and welcome to the video that I said I was going to make, which is discussing the Hogwarts Legacy controversy, or controversy, if you want to call it that, which I don't even think we can call it that. It's basically just outrage culture for the sake of being outraged. And I know I'm probably going to piss people off with that, but it is what it is. The first thing that got me wanting to talk about this is the same article that everybody and their mother has talked about already, which is the Wired article named Review. There is no magic in Hogwarts Legacy. The game is mid at best, and its real-world harms are impossible to ignore. So, first things first, if you look at how this article is classified, you'll see it under culture. So to call this a game review is pretty disingenuous. Not to mention that the person who wrote the article, while being a member of the LGBTQ plus whatever letters and acronyms come afterwards, I'm sorry, I'm not a member of that portion of people, has not really reviewed games. Except this one here in December of last year. And, you know, I feel like they picked this person, or this person chose to talk about this subject just because they're already opposed to it. There's already a bias. So it's hard to take it serious as an actual game review with a rating of 1 out of 10. And then you have this, it helped me say goodbye to the setting for good. So you're putting your personal feelings into this more so than you're being objective about the game. Just a quick rundown of the entire article. The story is rooted in anti-Semitic tropes. I'm going to talk about that. The gameplay feels dated. It really doesn't. The graphics feel like they're a couple generations behind. It is absolutely a gorgeous game, so no. All the characters are one-dimensional. No. Not true. There are, in fact, it's one of the few games I've played recently where I'm actually doing every single side quest that I find. So that is inherently false. Doesn't stay true to the established lore. We can kind of... That's debatable. It is its own story. It is set pre Harry Potter universe. So there's an argument for that. Every character feels like an off-brand version of the characters we know and love. Yeah, that's anything. I mean, that'd be like me saying that, oh, I don't know, Captain America feels like a ripoff of Superman. They're both superheroes. It's the same tropes. You can't... No. There's no sense of place? What do you mean there's no sense of place? It's a video game. You're supposed to play it, to have fun. It's escapism. No magic, no heart. There's a lot of magic. And in terms of the no heart portion, I can tell that the developers put a lot of time and effort into the game. The game, right out of the box, is just, it's good. It's a good game. Plain and simple. In this article, at one point, this writer says, this is important because she's always been, when talking about J.K. Rowling, this is important because she's always been inseparable from her work and from work that she's inspired and licensed for better and now mostly for worse. I've said it once, I'll say it again. People are entitled to their opinions. Now, whether or not you're going to like those opinions, that's on you. I read and listen to stuff all the time where I absolutely do not agree with what they're saying. But to say that that person can't say it, you know, we don't want to go down that route. We don't. Skimming through the article, I've already read it. I wish I hadn't, but I've already read it. It's mainly the writer's real world experience, why they liked Harry Potter, and then basically saying that J.K. Rowling is the reason that they can no longer enjoy Harry Potter. That's especially evident here in the when home isn't home anymore. People were using Harry Potter as escapism. Now they can't separate the art from the artist, and then you start getting the review bombs and everything else that came along with the release of this game, even the pre-release of this game. The so-called boycott of people saying, well, I'm not going to buy it and you shouldn't either, that absolutely drove home the numbers on this game. I don't care what anybody says. The more you tell people, if you don't do this, then you're a label, bad word, more labels, the more you're going to want to make people look into it. The more they're going to look at it and go, I didn't even know about this thing, but now I'm going to do it anyway. And that, I will say that I'm pretty sure that lays some credence to how this thing blew up more so than most games, other than the fact that Harry Potter has a huge audience already. Blah, 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 blah. It's a hit piece. That's all it is. It's, this writer is disenfranchised, therefore they want you to fall into that hole of, well, I don't like it, here's why I don't like it, and here's why you shouldn't like it either. And that goes back to that whole tagline here of, its real world harms are impossible to ignore. It's a video game. It's a video game. That's all it is. There you go. Standing together. That's what it is. It's about being part of this tribe and sticking with your tribe no matter what. And this part right here about the game industry is far queerer than most people realize. This is true. In fact, most video game journalists lean heavily to the left than they do to the right. That's a fact. And it's also a reason why most gaming outlets are seeing a decline in clicks, shares, whatever you want to call it. It's just same thing I said in the last video. You don't want to bring politics into something that doesn't need politics. This entire article could have gone the whole way without discussing sexuality, gender, whatever community you're a part of, and then it would have been considered a review. That's it. But I think one of the things here that lends some real, the thing that puts a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm trying to gather my words here. You'll notice that I sort of pause. It's just because I'm trying to think of a way to say things without, not sure what's happening back there. I'm trying to think of a way to say things the right way. Sometimes that fails. I make mistakes. I'm human. But it mainly has to do with this right here. The story, besides being rooted in anti-Semitism, a global cabal is trying to end slavery, but that's bad because the slaves like being slaves. Doesn't even feel compelling. That is not what's going on in the game. But the fact that they call this the blood libel game, and the fact that you have this portion of people comparing the goblins to Jewish people. I mean, they flat out said it. I don't know why I hesitated on that. This is coming from that side of the aisle. It's like when things come full circle and you're just like, where are you getting this from? Why? It's also kind of racist, because most people playing the game aren't going to attribute goblins to being Jewish. They're just not. I don't. Like, how do you make those mental leaps to that? It's the same way they were talking about, what, in D&D, that orcs were a trope of African Americans. How? How do you get there? Like, who thinks like that? It's just, it's not good. And, you know, this is the same people that are trying to say that they're in the right. And you're looking at what they're looking at and going, no, I don't think so. But you see all these, going back to the journalism being mostly left-leaning, almost every single article that came out had at least some politicizing in it, either having to do with J.K. Rowling or having to do with the transgender community. Somewhere in there, you were going to read about it, because that's how you're going to get clicks. That's how you're going to pull people in. You're either going to have outrage bait, or you're going to, as I like to say, pander to whatever side you're on. And, you know, honestly, the fact that people just can't be single-minded in terms of reviews when it comes to gaming, it's the reason people are coming to YouTube and watching their creators play a game or hear what they have to say about a game. You know, you don't want to be preached at when you're trying to find out whether or not a game is good. And that's exactly what happens. Here's another one. I've got some of these pulled up. How to hide your Hogwarts Legacy achievements and trophies from your friends and family. For many gamers, Hogwarts Legacy will be a dirty little secret. No, it's just a game. If you don't want to play it, don't play it. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. If you don't like J.K. Rowling, you're free to not like J.K. Rowling. But don't start alienating your friends and family and co-workers or whoever because they want to play a game. And the game is good. Don't let anybody say otherwise. It's a good game. But, you know, if you're that worried, especially the people that this article are talking to, if you're that worried about what other people think about what you're doing, then you probably need to reevaluate some life choices, because you can't go through life like that. You can't walk out the door and worry about what people are going to say about you. You know, hell, it's not even worth walking out the door worrying what other people think about you. Unless, of course, you know, you're at your job, you have to worry about an image or presentation or whatever, you know, in order to be part of your work culture. I mean, that's about it. Or in school, you know, you have a friends group that you fit in with. Maybe you care about them. Again, all of these things are normal things that you would worry about in life. Not whether or not, you know, my coworker is playing Hogwarts Legacy, or my best friend is playing Hogwarts Legacy. You want to play it? Play it. You don't want to play it? Don't. The whole thing is, it's kind of exhausting. You know, I'm just repeating some of the same stuff that most other outlets have already said. And, you know, me personally, I don't align with anybody. I'm my own person. I have my own thoughts. I won't say that I'm left-leaning. I won't say that I'm right-leaning. I won't say that I'm an ally. I won't say that I, you know, identify as something that I'm not. You know, and the labels that were getting tossed around and the gaslighting that is still happening in regards to the game it's not a good look. It just isn't. You know, you had Twitch streamers that were getting harassed, and they tried to sweep that under the rug, saying, oh, well, because they were a straight couple, you know, they're just taking away from our harassment because they were being harassed. No, nobody is harassing anybody over whether or not playing the game makes you a bad person. Let me rephrase that. Any normal person is not going to harass you over whether or not you're playing a game. Unless there's some weird neo-Nazi hate simulator VR simulation out there that you can download, then maybe you deserve deserve a little bit of hate, just a little bit. But not for this. Not for this. And we can keep going. You read Tech for Gamers puts out an article yesterday. Hogwarts Legacy. Even developers are boycotting the game. It's not developers. They put that in there to make it sound bigger than it is. It's not developers. It's one guy on Twitter virtue signaling, oh, I'm not happy that I had to work on this game, but I have to pay my bills. Okay. And then you have people going, oh, well, I understand. That's noble. You know, at least you're saying, I'm not going to play the game. Dude, if you're gonna stick to your principles that hard, you wouldn't have worked on the damn thing. You could have gone to work at McDonald's or somewhere else. Don't sit there and try to tell people, well, I'm a good person because I may have helped create this thing, but I'm not going to play it. No. That doesn't work. And I use that word virtue signaling because that's all it is. You know, you're trying to come off as, oh, well, I'm a good person, so don't come for me. You see, I may have worked on this thing. You might see my name, but you know, I'm one of you. I'm safe. Don't worry. It's mostly, and I will say this, that most of the outrage that came about from the release of this game, most of it originated on Twitter. In fact, I go as far as saying that maybe 95% of it originated on Twitter and then just sort of spread like cancer to everywhere else. And you know, you have big name streamers like Hassan flat out saying, I'm not going to play this game because I don't want you people to call me transphobic. Flat out said it. This is the same guy that has no problem calling other people transphobic 80 million times nonstop. But it's controversy, or rather it's outrage for the sake of being outraged. Inside the game, I've got maybe 20 hours into the game already. There is all kind to call that game and to say it's not inclusive is a flat out lie. The game is absolutely inclusive. You have, I believe there's one witch that you run into that happens to be a lesbian. She says something about finding something from her wife, or her wife telling her about something. You have damn near every single race represented inside the game at some point. Even one of the recurring characters that's in there is trans, which they didn't like that either. You know, oh, they just put a trans person in there so that, you know, to sweep everything under the rug so we wouldn't be mad. Okay, but the fact is that they did it. And guess what? It doesn't hurt the game. You meet that character, you go on, and you know what? It's not even... They might even be mad that it's not as in your face about it. It's really not. It's very subtle. In fact, there's only one line where she mentions, oh, well, I was a wizard and my friends are calling me a witch now. Or I asked them to call me a witch. But that's it. And then the game goes on. The story goes on. I think they were even trying to come for the voice actor on that, saying, well, the voice actor sounds too much like a man. And if you look at IMDb, Rebecca Root is the one that voices Sirona. And of course, they were also mad about the name. Oh, well, there's Sir in the name, therefore they must be making fun of us. If you look up Sirona, let's do it right now. Sirona name meaning. A Celtic goddess of healing associated with healing springs. But it's why? You know, be happy that this would have never happened several years ago. It wouldn't have. And if you look at this person, let's see if we can get to
Judy happens to be transgender, but for me that's not really what the whole series is about.
No, I mean it's incidental that she's trans. It's a love story at its core. It's a love story about a boy and a girl, and one of them happens to be cisgender and one of them happens to be trans. And
this is a person that felt comfortable enough to work on this game, be in this game. Take the win. Take the win. Like I said, the whole thing is so exhausting, and you know, I really didn't want to talk about this. I felt like I had so many thoughts running through my head about this, and I have a feeling like I said, I'm gonna piss people off, and I have a feeling I know which side I'm gonna piss off with all this. That's not the goal. The goal is to look at the bigger picture, and at the end of the day, if you feel slighted, you are entitled to that. If you don't like J.K. Rowling, you are entitled to that. If you don't want to play the game, you are entitled to that. If you want to boycott boycott the game. Nobody is saying you can't. Nobody's saying you can't to any of those things. But what they are saying you can't do is harass people or label people or insult people just because they want to do what they're doing and it has nothing to do with you. That's it. You know, I feel like at the end of the day, we've reached that point in culture where everybody has to pick a side. And, you know, I honestly miss the days when it wasn't like that. Me personally, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep covering what I cover. I'm going to keep talking about what I want to talk about. I'm, to a point, going to say what I feel like saying. You know, do what you want to do. Do what makes you happy. Or in this case, don't do what's going to make you unhappy, which is playing the game for some people. So don't. That's it. You don't have to. Yeah, you know, that's basically what it boils down to in a nutshell. The entire controversy, or as I'm going to say again, non-troversy over a video game is basically rooted in one side versus the other. Just like everything else. Just like politics. Just like the quote-unquote culture war. You know, it's always, I'm in the right, you're wrong, here's why. And here's why you should do what I want you to do. So, there you have it, people. You know, I think I've hit every single major point that I've seen when it comes to this game, outside of actually reviewing the game, which, here's my review. Play the game, it's fun, it's a great time waster, it's absolutely gorgeous. You know, flying around on a broomstick at night in front of Hogwarts it's awesome. So, yeah. I don't think I have anything else to say on the subject. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I mean, y'all typically do. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, play Hogwarts Legacy.